He runs it. That's his baby, and he hired me to do most of the book reviews.
And what does it take to qualify, have your work qualify for Lurid Lit?
Well, we take just about anything. We even take people who, self-publish. We take people who are published by big publishing companies, small publishing companies. We'll be very happy to read somebody's work that's out there and for sale. The only things we won't do, obviously, is because I'm in a number of anthologies that are on Amazon, we won't touch those. But otherwise, if you have a book out there or you have a project out there, we'd be very happy to look at it.
And are you also taking fiction submissions, or did I misread that?
We are. When I originally signed on with Chris, we were taking them. We had a few, and then it just seemed to drop off. So we put that aside, and I would say in the past 6 months we've revved that up again to take them again. And I've had a few people send emails to me, but that's about as far as it's gone. Nobody has sent anything in for us to even review to put up. But we are taking fiction. We just don't pay, but we're taking fiction.
Yeah, that can tend to turn some people off the non-paying market, which we're in the same boat with you. But my policy, or at least what I think that our policy reflects, is we can't pay you, but we can help you promote whatever you want to, whatever you need.
Yeah, isn't that payment enough though? Because you're trying to get your work out there to people, and this is what I've said to a number of people. In fact, I taught an adult ed class on writing here in town, and I said to everybody initially, especially initially when you're starting, and even when you're starting to move things along, you're building up your resume. You're trying to promote your work. You're trying to get a following, and I just take the mere fact that somebody's willing to publish my work as payment enough. I treat it the same way as if somebody sent me a PayPal. To me, that's payment enough to have it out there, to have people interested in my work, to have people talking about my work. To me, it all leads down to possibly, enormous things down the line, and if not, okay, but it's just a matter of getting my writing out there and getting it in the hands of other people.
Right. Well, Bizarre Books, tell me do you have some sort of arrangement with Bizarre Books, which published Corpses Don't Bleed, your short story?
Well, actually, I got to track them down because they went out of business. And I have to track them down for some royalties. That's what we're gonna be doing. But I'm not losing a lot of sleep over it. But yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Even with some of the other anthologies I've been in, I don't expect to make a ton of money here. But we'll see what happens in terms of what the sales numbers look like, and if I have enough to go to McDonald's on it.
Hire a bounty hunter.
Yeah, that's what I should do.
But
I figure my sales are in the area of maybe, probably off the dollar menu, and maybe I can get a meal. That's what kind of I'm looking at.
Are you ever gonna take a stab at unintended, I guess, at a full-blown work? Maybe, I'm sure you have some novels just laying around in your office in a drawer, right?
I've got 2 novels started, which I think are going to be short of novels, and I'm expecting to get those out probably by fall. And I've got 1 collection of short stories that actually has a theme. And I've already approached 1 publisher who took a pass at it. Another publisher is interested in it. And we'll see what happens with that. I'm better, I think, writing shorter works than I am longer works. It just seems to be the way my brain functions and the way my writing process and how these stories come to me, it just kind of is more suited to write shorter works.
I think Daniel and I are in the same boat, aren't we, Daniel? Don't we prefer the long, short story form as opposed to an epic series of 7 books? I mean, don't we prefer to work in that medium? Don't you, Daniel?
I wish I could write these long... Yeah, I wish I could write a huge series like George R.R. Martin or whatever, but I find, that definitely my... I hate to say my attention span wanes, but I think it's more like I lose the intensity when I try to write much longer pieces. I find it easier to maintain that intensity in a short story.
Yeah, that's how it works for me. I absolutely lose it when, in my case, the stories seem to, when they start and seem to be going in the direction they're going, they seem to wrap up where they wrap up, and I don't necessarily want to mess with that, because when I do, that's when I get into trouble.
And so there was something Jeremy was telling me about your writing process.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Okay, basically, I would say 99.9% of the stories I write, including this one that I just read, this is basically what happens. I'll be asleep. I'll see this happening in a dream, nightmare. I'll wake up. I can't go back to sleep. I will still see it happening in front of me. I've got to sit down and I've got to start writing it out. If I do that, and I can just write the whole thing out, and I pretty much just let myself write what I'm watching and seeing, the dream, the nightmare will tip itself down, and I could go about what I'm doing. Now, I can kind of tell when it's going to happen because a couple days before, my personality will change. I'll get to be extremely short with people. I'll get surly. I'll start to feel depressed, angry, and then it'll happen. Or it'll be a situation, if it happens during the day, I could be sitting at my computer or sitting in a chair somewhere, and I'll start to, I'm not going to say have like auditory hallucinations, but I'll start hearing things. And boom, we're off and running. I could start seeing everything play out in front of me. Like with that story, I could actually walk through the living room, the kitchen, across the street. I could see all of it in front of me. And that's how it happens. And I've got to write it down, and then it will tamp itself down. Then I go back and polish it up and where I have to.
Wow.
So it's like something takes over.
Yeah. That's how my wife and I describe it, as that. Something does take over. And I just, I'll just either write it out longhand or I'll just sit here and type it, but something does take over.
Now, what does
part of the brain
she
does it?
What does she think about it when you get like this? Does she just stay out of your way? Does she? I mean,
she's learned to just stay out of my way. She's learned to just stay completely out of my way. If anybody calls or comes to the house, I can't talk to them. He's in there writing. And, then I'll basically return to myself. When I have to sit and actually come up with an idea, or we had a situation for one of the contests where I received a writing prompt. That is the hardest thing for me to do. But it's when these things come completely out of the blue, that's easy for me. I just let it happen, let it go, and then go back and, edit it, polish it up. And that's just how it works.
Do you ever work out any, I don't know, personal demons or symbols in your dreams through writing? I mean, it's a cathartic process for you, right?
A very cathartic process. I will be absolutely exhausted when it's done. completely drained. I can go back, not initially, but maybe a few months later on, and go back and look at something I've written, and look at around the time that it was written, and say, okay, that was something that happened in my life, or something was going on in my life. So there are bits and pieces to that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've worked out some things, yeah, definitely.
Because I came on board, I think, with the February issue, I'm not sure, how long have you been contributing to Surreal Grotesque, Joseph? I assume that Diminishing Sight wasn't your first story, or because there was another one in the anthology, wasn't there?
There's another one, I think the other one in the anthology was the first one that I published with Surreal Grotesque. That was about the cowboy. And I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Oh, yeah, Night of...
What happens with me is, when I write these things and they're done, you can even say to me, oh, hey, I read such and such. And I'll go, oh, okay, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. And I'll sit back and go, what story was that? And my wife will read something back to me that she's seen, and I'll go, who wrote that? She said, well, you did, dummy. Oh, wow, I didn't realize I wrote that. Night in the Country.
That's
Night in the
right.
Country. That was the first one, and that was about a year ago, April 2012.
That's where, like, the guy's, like, it's almost like a cowboy, and he walks into this bar, and it's like he meets this alien creature.
Yeah, you don't know if he's on the run or he's just riding somewhere. He's tired. It's been a long ride. When he gets to this, essentially a ghost town, he noticed that there's the bones of people, lying about, and they've been out there, for some time, although you really don't know if it's some time because, you get the hot sun on it. Then he decides he's going to take a rest and hunkers down for the night, sleeps in the bar, puts some tables together, and when he wakes up, his skin is basically off of his hands and his arm, one of his arms, his right hand and his right arms, and he turns and he sees this thing, which basically looks like some type of a man or a creature that doesn't have any flesh, but you can see the muscles on him, and you can see the capillaries and veins and all that, and he knows he's got to do something. This thing probably has taken part of his flesh already, but the way it ends is that he says, in fact, I just pulled it here. It says, despite all my problems today, all the angst that I carry and the danger staring into my eyes, all I can think about is that I've never been in all my life is hopelessly and religiously right-handed. The fact of the matter is he's never really shot a gun with his left hand, and here he's going to be facing this thing, this creature. And I just
because the other hand doesn't work. Right?
The other hand doesn't work because it's all bone. It's all just clanking together. And when I wrote that, my wife said, that's just ridiculous. I said, well, that was the dream, and that's what came out, and I think it's a pretty funny story in a way. And Daniel, thank you very much. You published that.
I enjoyed
I'm very proud of that story.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was incredibly strange, but I think it worked. I think that was one of the first stories that I read on the podcast, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe you did, yes.
So
yes, thank you again for that, because that story's got some mileage on it, and thank you very much.
And I know you wrote another one for the upcoming issue, A Hint of Cinnamon.
Yeah.
I was wondering, did you want to read that one too, or?
Whatever you guys wanted to do. If you want to just have it out there, and people can pick up the June issue. What I can say is it's about a man and his little corpse.
Yeah, if you want to read that one too, I mean, I think that would be kind of a cool preview sort of thing.
Okay, let me Rabbit here, and that's a story